The universe of Dune is credited with inspiring many filmmakers and storytellers, whether it be the desert planet of Arrakis, the iconic sandworms, or the evil Empire. Dune's influence can be seen in nearly every sci-fi movie or story since. With Dune 2 set to hit theaters on March 1st, I thought it would be interesting to check out a movie that exists almost entirely to try and fool people into thinking it was the real thing. And that movie is Dune World. Produced by a company called Polonia Brothers Entertainment, judging by a quick IMDb search, this is a company that almost exclusively makes shitty, low-budget movies, trying to jump on a recent fad as quickly and cheaply as possible. Highlights in their catalogue include Cocaine Shark, Amityville in Space, Invasion of the Empire of the Apes, Motorboat, a movie about a possessed speedboat, and surprisingly not a porno, and Stay Out, which is a much more passive-aggressive version of Get Out, presumably losing all the race context. Dune World seems like a challenge these people undertook, where somebody dared them to make a movie as cheaply as possible. You'll see very quickly that Dune World doesn't even try to copy the story of the real Dune. However, it does try to replicate the dreamlike visions Paul has. Rather than something prophetic and mysterious, instead we just get random clips of this asshole. After some low-budget titles and effects, we're introduced to our cast in what I think is supposed to be a spaceship, but is more reminiscent of an office building under refurbishment. You'll notice the fashioning of the future's changed, with one guy wearing a discount NASA jacket, this lady sporting a badge which says superhero, this guy with a matching astronaut badge, and the whole crew sporting gaming headsets. Then there's this guy just chilling in a corner. After the least dramatic crash scene ever, we're met with some attempted trippy visuals which are incorporated throughout the film. These are incredibly low effort, but are quite amusing, even if they have no logic or point whatsoever.
This is all very sweet, but I'm trying not to die, so if we could figure that out.
We're greeted next by some Bohemian Rhapsody level editing.
Captain, are you alright to serve?
Stop calling me that. Raven is the captain.
But you're the one who has to get us through this, Babs.
I'm just asking, Chief Engineer, is it possible that we were hit with a psychic blast?
It's like saying a magic wand can fly the ship. There is no psychic ability that we know of that magnitude.
No human psychic power.
And the room level dialogue.
All I know is, this chick back in Tycho City had some crushed up dysprosium. Wanted me to snort it with her the night before we shipped out. I mean, isn't the brain just a wet machine? I didn't do it. I told her, I don't snort crushed rocks up my nose, baby, but...
I wouldn't know anything about that.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Upon exiting the ship, the crew immediately finds a wild green screen. Oh wait, that's supposed to be the planet? What are the sunglasses protecting them from? The crew next encounter a wild smoke machine, but luckily, their COVID masks protect them from the danger. Sorry, high-tech air filtration systems. 19 minutes into the movie, we're greeted to this magnificent beast, which I think is supposed to be a sandworm, but looks more like a crackhead's willy.
Well, damn!
The sandworm appears, kills a guy, bobs around a bit, and refuses to elaborate. Unfortunately, the kids' toy laser guns they brought did nothing. If this wasn't bad enough, somebody left a cigarette in front of the camera. Unfortunately, the editor didn't notice. That's okay though. Movie making is hard. After encountering a hatch, in the desert, they enter the least futuristic building I think I've ever seen. It's nice to know in the future they were really keen on recycling old cheap furniture from the 20th and 21st century.
There.
Wait, isn't that the same door from your ship? It's at this point where the actors really shine, a subtle form of expression in their facial performances that conveys so much.
Almost tasted that. Num 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 num, eat it up. Go play okay, 3, 2, 1. You know I'm the hottest. You ain't never gotta hit me if I'm
Oh, you are way more fun than my last lawyer.
At 35 minutes in, on my copy of the film, the editor makes the bold creative decision to remove all audio from the film, except the generic non-copyright song found from YouTube. I believe this decision was made to help educate people on how to lip read, or something. The presumed death of this man, accompanied by ill-fitting electronic music, is truly haunting.
Hey, there's something up here. Let's check it out.
Another crew member is killed, this time, presumably by visual effect. Thus far in the movie, the only things resembling the loosest semblance of a plot thread is this woman struggling to replace the old captain, and frankly, doing terribly.
Can you change the channel on that thing? Yes. You're dead. You were a good pilot, Condor, despite the rest of it.
Well,
Keep both eyes open for a start.
And the closest thing to a character trait being this robot, repeating the same line over and over again.
Crew member Condor. Is that a question? Is that a question? Acting Captain Babylon. Is there a question? Was that a question? Babs. We're all going to die, Babs.
The guy who just died apparently uploaded his consciousness to the robot somehow through some bullshit they made up on the spot. In another movie, this would lead to some sort of character change, redemption arc, or plot change. In this movie, however, he just dies again minutes later and uploads his consciousness to something else. Our captain discovers that the ominous, black-cloaked figures are the spirits of another crew who came to this planet 20 years ago, and the crew members she's lost have joined their ranks. Rather than doing literally anything, our captain decides to kill herself instead, which honestly is the most relatable part of the film. After some time-wasting flashbacks, the movie pulls the worst twist any film can pull. It's revealed everything we've seen so far was a simulation of the mission, ran for precaution. This is possibly the most laziest, boring ending they could possibly have gone with. If they had zoomed out on the corpse of the captain, that would have been more interesting.
That's good. There's a lot I want to forget.
Like what? Nothing happened. The last 10 minutes is merely a load of waffle between the characters and the barest attempt to suggest there was some ambiguity to the story, and the whole movie wasn't just a few scenes randomly stitched together, re-edited, fast forward, reversed, or a new filter put upon it.
And this goes on and back and forth for 90 or so minutes until the movie just sort of ends.
I have to hand it to Dune World and its creators. This was the most consistent movie I've seen in a long time. Every single decision and choice aligned with the cheapest, most laziest it could possibly be, which to a degree made it at least a bit amusing in the most embarrassing way possible. Dune World wasn't the only Dune ripoff from 2021. Another movie, entitled Planet Dune, was also made. This was made by notorious cheap movie makers, The Asylum, their most famous production probably being Sharknado, but let's not forget their other masterpieces, Titanic 2, The Da Vinci Treasure, Asteroid vs. Planet Earth, and Nazis at the Center of the Earth. Planet Dune is the story of an overconfident pilot who's punished for not following orders. Oh my god, it's a Top Gun ripoff as well? After disobeying her captain and saving a Russian astronaut, I know right, an American wanting to help a Russian? That's more unbelievable than the sandworms. Rather than being sent to prison, she's sent on a mission with other alleged felons. This is at least a bit more interesting than community service. Immediately, she's falling out with the other members of the crew for no real reason than to create forced tension.
Unless it gets broken by a reckless pilot.
Good thing we don't have one of those around here then.
Our main character is shown to be drinking from a hip flask, which is quite odd, seeing that there's nothing more futuristic for shamed alcoholics. What is that, space vodka? The ship's crew land on a desert planet. I'm not entirely sure why the ship has an anchor, or how the practicality of it would work without destroying the vehicle, but it's probably best not to ask.
We gotta be ready for anything, so stick close. Work fast.
Stick close? Where the fuck are they going to go? It's a wide open desert.
You gotta be kidding me.
Okay, it's moonshine. But it was a gift from my mom before she died. Really? Mama's moonshine?
Mama's moonshine. Ah, not space vodka then. After some nonsensical squabbling, our crew is attacked by our creature, which is a bit better than the one we saw earlier. Obviously, the Asylum production is far superior to the 50p budgeted Dune world in every way. It's still got laughable graphics and visual effects. The next 40 minutes of the film is spent watching the actors running around from the sandworms and defeating them fairly easily. One guy thinks a switchblade will be enough, and one worm is defeated via a crowbar. Hardly provokes any feelings of fear towards these creatures now, does it? Despite the creatures not having eyes, this lady tries to draw their attention using a flare. For some reason, the worms don't go into the caves, but do just jump into their ship, and this lady becomes a one-dimensional villain for a bit.
I'm not interested in the people. I want the money.
The bulk of the movie, once they encounter the worms, can be split into 3 sections. These two, screwing around in the ship, having said ship attacked every 3 seconds. This lady's ulterior motive being just to get the ship for money, going absolutely nowhere. These two having a weirdly homoerotic time in the cave, while occasionally being attacked. They eventually end up riding a giant worm together. Look at them go! These two having a heart-to-heart, while the pilot continues to keep drinking her moonshine while sitting on the same fucking rock for 20 minutes. The climax of their portion is this inspiring compilation of them making a bomb from condoms and other stuff. Eventually blowing up one of the worms in a boringly shot and edited scene. The crew gets abandoned by their superiors, this guy stating how expendable they are. The captain, who originally put the pilot in prison, eventually abandons the rules to help rescue her. This deus ex machina isn't earned, as the captain isn't given any character development or traits, and randomly pulls 180 on her only other decision, which was to be strict. The captain manages to pick up the crew, and they fend off one last worm attack. As they return from their mission, their past crimes are all made void, and they're welcomed back, mostly because the Russian she saved earlier was a national hero, and now diplomatic relations between the two nations have improved. So, I guess the moral is to help people, but you might have to experience a traumatizing, life-threatening event before receiving any good karma from it, and only if that person was important. I'm as surprised as you are that the Asylum used a Sandworm movie to promote rehabilitation over incarceration, but here we are. There are some other projects that at first glance might seem like Dune ripoffs, but actually aren't. These include Dune Drifters, a boring film with okay production value and effects. Film features 0 dunes. Dune Warriors, made in '91, one would assume it's a knockoff of the old Dune. It's not, just a Mad Max ripoff, starring everyone's favourite sex pervert, David Carradine. Dune Dreams is a French domestic thriller. La Dune follows an Israeli man in France. And a sand dune is a hill of sand made by the wind on the coast or in a desert. Apparently these existed before the movie Dune, but we can't confirm it.